Welcome to Speak for Yourself. Marcellus Wiley, fully clothed in jacket. And let me just look to my left.
Bro, why you hate on the vest, big dog? People love the vest.
People love the vest?
They do.
Oh, really?
I don't know who people are, but they love it. They love it.
Isaac on the Love Boat is in the building. Let's get it started. He don't know who that is. In Dallas, where Dak Prescott and the Cowboys are looking for a bounce-back season. And rookie wide receiver, Simi Fehoko. Oh, did I mess that up? Probably. Is just hyped to be a Cowboy. Fifth-round pick is wearing T.O.'s number 81. That's my quarterback. Already reached out to Dez Bryant and had an inspiring conversation with his new quarterback. Take a listen.
He texted me, a couple minutes after I got drafted, telling me, like, get ready to work and we're about to go light up the league and all that. And then I seen him in the locker room here and there. He's a cool guy, man. Down to earth, super humble, and, obviously, he's a ball player, too.
See me, huh? See me. Oh, huh? All right, so Acho, does Dak Prescott sound overconfident?
He does sound overconfident, big dog. Cowboys, they got 99 problems, and Dak Prescott's confidence, it might be one. Here is why. If y'all were listening to the quote, you would catch the problem. The quote from the receiver was Dak Prescott said, "We are going to light up the league."
Yes.
In theory, that sounds like a great thing. But lighting up the league, that mentality in May, will lead to lighting up the loss column in August, September, and October.
Oh.
So, what? I got to go to the big board, big dog. I got to go to the big board. And we started the show early. That's why I needed the vest. I needed the vest because I could move.
You need to move.
I needed the vest because I am flexible. And I needed the vest because I'm going to break this down for you. Now, Dak Prescott said he's going to light up the league. But let me show you, Cowboys fans, why that's problematic. I'm just going to do it in story form. We all know the Cowboys' defense was very bad last year through the first 4 games of the season. But it really wasn't the worst defense in the league. The worst defense, even worse than the Cowboys, was the Green Bay Packers. Why do I say that? Packers actually allowed more yards per play. It was slight, but they allowed more yards per play than the Cowboys. Packers averaging 6.06, Cowboys averaging 6.00. Now, why in the world did the Cowboys give up more points? Because the Cowboys had to play more plays. But why did they have to play more plays? Because as you move on to the next progression, as you move on to the next slide, you'll see the 2 quarterbacks. Now, you better believe Dak Prescott was on pace to light up the league last year. He was going to give you significantly more yards than the Packers quarterback and Aaron Rodgers. He was going to give you significantly more yards a game, and he was going to throw for more attempts throughout the course of the season. Oh, Dak was going to light up the league, but at what cost? That's the question, Cowboys fans, you have to ask yourself. Because if the offense helps the defense and the defense helps special teams and they all work together as a team, then lighting up the league, it might cost you a little something. Because as we roll to the next slide, you'll see the biggest difference between the 2 teams. Packers, they ranked first in time of possession, meaning they were going to possess the football the longest. They were going to mask their deficiencies on defense. The Cowboys, on the other hand, 31st, second to last in time of possession. So while, yes, offensively, the Cowboys were on pace to light up the league, what they weren't going to do, as you look at the next slide, they sure as heck were not about to light up the win column, because through 4 games in the season, I just told you, and I just showed you, not my opinion, the Packers actually had a worse defense as far as giving up more yards per play than the Cowboys. But the Cowboys were 1-3, the Packers were 4-0, because Aaron Rodgers, he wasn't really concerned with lighting up the league. He was concerned with lighting up the win column. So Marcellus Wiley,
yes,
not only is Dak overconfident, but in my opinion, that thought process is really tripping, because light up the league if you want to, but that ain't gonna do nothing for lighting up the W's.
Oh, wow. Oh, man. Way to turn a positive into a negative. I am not worried about...
I'm a truth teller, Marcellus.
You are.
I'm a truth teller.
Yeah, but it's going to start after that take. It didn't happen during that take. Are you kidding me right now? I have no issues with his confidence level or overconfidence right now. Let's be real about this situation. You tried to give us an argument, which I respect, about complimentary football. At what cost?
Yes, sir.
Correct? But that's almost like saying if I come out here with this fire take, which I am, and then you don't do your part, defense, you're going to say, Marcellus, why'd you come with that fire take? What does it matter? At what cost? It's on you on the other side to do your job. But Dak Prescott certainly, when healthy, did his job. I respect what you said, though, right there. But let's always remember, too, we look at the sample size of Dak Prescott in those first few games, going 2-3. You got to remember that projections aren't even. You know why? After 5 games, what were the Pittsburgh Steelers? 5-0. After 11 games, what were the Pittsburgh Steelers? 11-0. What were they at the end of the season? 12-5. Interesting how those projections aren't always even. But let me get back to Dak Prescott and why he's so damn cocky. Cocky's something that I just can't help. Clips, baby. This is why he's so cocky. One, he's in the lab, and you've been in the lab before every single offseason. Please don't listen to my music. Please don't check my psyche and my mindset right now. I'm in the kitchen cooking it up like a stir fry,
Yes,
right?
sir.
And if you don't want to know how the sausage is made, don't take a look, don't take a peek, and don't take a listen. We have so much intel right now. We know everything. Simi comes on and tells us what Dak is like. You know what the problem with that is? This is the time. Protected space for Dak Prescott to be cocky. So to go crazy, you got to get crazy. And that's where he is right now. We all have done it. You don't believe me? Go to any pregame. Any pregame of any NFL football game. Y'all bought your tickets, get there early. Once you're there early, you're going to watch all these guys run around with these headphones, Beats by Dre's, big old subwoofers on their head. And every one of those guys is trying to go to that special place. And that special place, if you're sitting there as a fan, you're like, damn, he look like he's psycho. He going to go kill him. Keep watching. All those dudes ain't good. All those dudes ain't right. But Dak Prescott is. Let me tell you who Dak Prescott is in the last sentence before I give you this baton back. He's the second highest paid player in NFL history with the best contract in NFL history on America's team that is the highest value franchise in all of sports with a star on his helmet and the reason this team can win and contend. Wouldn't you be cocky in that moment? I know I would.
I would be cocky, but it comes down to this, Sel.
What?
Football, as you know better than anybody watching this show, is the ultimate team game. We got to dive in there. We have to dive in there because I'm going to do y'all a disservice if I didn't tell y'all the truth of the matter. And so we would be doing them a disservice if we didn't keep it real with them. Dak Prescott put up phenomenal numbers last year.
Yes.
He did. Yes. On pace to throw for, I just showed y'all, 6,000 plus yards. But lighting up the box score means nothing if you're hanging your squad out to dry. Back in August, you remember this, popped a blood vessel in my vocal cord. I said, hey, Marcellus, it's hard for me to talk, big dog. I'm going to need you to pick up the slack, do some extra reads, take us to commercial break, etc. Now, you could have not done that. You could have hung me out to dry. But you knew that Acho is down right now.
Yeah.
So you have to do more for the sake of the team.
I'm with you.
What I'm saying is Dak Prescott, he might be shining, and good for Dak Prescott. But if the defense is down right now, somebody got to pick up the slack. And the slack might not necessarily look like lighting up the scoreboard. Because what was Aaron Rodgers doing? Aaron Rodgers probably would have loved to go out there and throw 209 times in his first 4 games. He would have loved to throw for 400-plus yards a game. Instead, he only threw 130 times in his first 4 games, only threw for 300 yards a game. But what did he do? They maintained the ball longer, allowing their terrible defense, because, by the way, Packers defense, worse than the Cowboys, allowed them to hide because they had some deficiencies, like you allowed me to hide when I have some vocal deficiencies.
Love it.
I'm not mad at Dak. I'm just trying to caution you all that you got to understand, if in May you're thinking about, yeah, we about to light him up, we about to light him up, we about to light him up, does Dak Prescott and the rest of the Cowboys offense have the mental fortitude to pivot? Because if you go into a game and it's like, hey, okay, first game of the season, we're playing the Buccaneers. This is what we need to do, Dak. We got to run the ball 35 times a game. We might only pass it 25. This is what we need to do. First and second down, let's try to establish the run game. Man, but what about CD? What about Amari? I thought we was going to light him up, coach. Man, they paying me $160 over 4 years. Does Dak Prescott and the rest of the stars on offense, $100 million receiver, first-round pick wide receiver, $160 million quarterback, do they have the mental fortitude to say, we're going to do whatever it takes for the team to win as opposed to lighting up the scoreboard?
Well, even great teams struggle with that. The Kansas City Chiefs, hey, they told you, stop throwing it deep, methodical, up and down the field, move the chains. They couldn't do it. They struggled. They didn't even want to. They were too arrogant. Seattle Seahawks, latter part of last season, the regular season. Every team told you what to do. Didn't want to do it. Arrogant, caught up in trying to light it up as well. So let's not put all this on Dak Prescott. Is your vocal cords okay right now?
I still hurt, honestly.
I'm about to say, because I'm still picking up the slack. What the hell is going on? Like, I'm still doing more reads than you. Let's start here. Stop bringing up Aaron Rodgers. Stop bringing up Aaron. Because his coach don't like him. Aaron Rodgers would like to throw the ball 200-plus times in the first 4 games, but his coach doesn't like him. His coach is trying to feed Aaron Jones. His coach doesn't want him to get all the shine. So that's why I don't like that example. What example I do like is Dak Prescott and his resume. I like the fact that when healthy, they've never had a losing season. I like the fact that when he was healthy last year, they had the #1 offense. Why does that matter? Because if you look at the teams last year that had the highest scoring offenses, the top 9 all made the playoffs. You trying to tell me that type of mindset, that arrogance and cockiness is going to lead to you actually putting up numbers that leads to the playoffs? Absolutely. So only one team last year finished with more than 400 yards of offense, and that was the Kansas City Chiefs. Dak Prescott was on schedule, on pace to do just that. These are all positives. It's weird. Putting himself in a cocky space instead of a humble space is something that now we're going to try and shoot him down for and bring him back to earth. Why? Let him leave the stratosphere. He was certainly trying to do it before the injury last year in terms of all of his numbers. And you talk about complimentary football. Let's talk about us being partners and complimenting each other. Their defense last year was 7th ranked in terms of creating turnovers. That's a positive. Playing defense, if you can get the ball back, you're going to help Dak Prescott in his offense. And 11th ranked passing defense. I mean, you really got to dive into the details to know that there were some positives with their defense, but complimentary football can work if Dak Prescott certainly does his job.
The question I think that has to be answered is this, though.
What's that?
An individual positive can be a collective negative.
Yes, sir.
You a married man, so you know way better than me.
You go to rap groups or something.
Nah, because you know better than me about collections and teams.
Okay.
I'm an individual right now, right? I'm a free agent. I'm out here. I'm a free agent. But you're not.
Hey, you taking a lot of recruit trips, too.
And what I would have to assume, Sel, is you can live your life doing whatever you want. Hey, I got to go to work. Hey, I want to do this. I want to do that. I'm making X amount of dollars. I'm making this. I was that dude. But your individual positives might lead your team, your wife, your team, your 4 kids. Like, yeah, I mean, you shining. You on TV. You got your own show. But what about us? Because just because you that dude don't mean y'all that team. And the issue at hand, so I'm cautioning Cowboys fans, not so much you, but I'm cautioning Cowboys fans. Dak Prescott can be that dude.
Okay.
You was that dude.
That dude.
But that dude don't translate to having that team. And after not even going to a championship game for 25 consecutive years, don't you think that the Cowboys should let their play do the talking? Yeah, we're going to light up the scoreboard. Zeke told us last year, Marcellus Wiley, that this was the most talented offense he had ever been around.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones told us last year that, man, I feel good about this team, better about this team than I have in the last 5 or 10 years. That was Stephen Jones. CeeDee Lamb last month, offensively at the skill positions, I feel like we can compete with anybody. Mike McCarthy in late August. Man, I think, frankly, the conversation is nonsense if you're not trying to win Super Bowls. Can they stop talking and start playing? That's it. I got on my blue because I was feeling Dallas-like today. Okay. You know I'm from Dallas. My cell phone number, it starts with 214, okay? So I'm repping as hard as anybody can rep. But I'm tired of the talk because it's so cheap.
But it's unfortunate that they're in this position where they have to talk. Like, even in our day, and our day didn't really coincide and overlap, but in your day, microphones was in your face. In my day, there were a few microphones in our face. Now, forget a microphone, my phone is here. I'm recording everything. So they have to answer. And I think after a while, the quantity of answers will lead to less quality. All of a sudden, you start hearing, dog, this dude cocky as hell. What the hell are you talking about? There are opponents. But remind yourself, when you look in the mirror, there are no opponents unless you are scared of yourself. Dak Prescott has the 2nd highest passer rating through 5 seasons of any quarterback in the Super Bowl era. Hello. Should he be cocky? I think a little bit. Over the last 2 seasons, no players averaged more passing yards per game than Dak Prescott. Dog, it's almost like they say, it ain't tricking if you got it. Is it really cocky if you're doing it? Like, he's doing it. It's just he needs everyone else to do it. Let's be real. Mike McCarthy, coach. Be a Super Bowl champion coach like you are. Defense, come on. You got too many names now. And Michael Parsons in the building. Play defense. We can balance this out. But let's not bring Dak down so that the defense can go up. Dak has to stay up here. They just need to catch up.
That's fair. Oh, God, we going places? We going But I'm just wondering, because you always challenge me to do this, and I'm going to challenge y'all with one of the greatest things Sel has taught me, which his former colleague taught him, was when you're looking at assessing a fighter in a boxing match, you could just say, who would you have rather been in that round? Who would you rather be? Right? If you're looking at the scorecard and you don't know, who would you have rather been? When you talk about Dak's first 5 years, prolific, or you talk about Russell Wilson's first 5 years, even talk about Joe Flacco's first 5 years, who would you rather be? I know for sure Russ, because Russ had a Super Bowl, went to 2. Flacco, he won a Super Bowl and also signed for the highest paid $1 million at that time, but he had a Super Bowl. Who would you rather be? So Dak is lighting up the scoreboard, and maybe if you want to live in Dallas, I totally understand that. You lived in Dallas, I live in Dallas my whole young adult life. But if we're really asking the question of who would you rather be, I don't know if it's Dak. So all this confidence you speak of, Marcellus Wiley, all this confidence you speak of, even Russ wasn't this confident 5 years in. 5 years in.
Hey.
Now Russ different dude. Russ a different dude.
Remix.
But 5 years in, Russ wasn't this confident. Flacco ain't never talked like that.
Nah.
And mind you, you could argue Flacco wasn't who Dak was, but Flacco, 11 touchdowns.
Why do you pick Flacco?
Super Bowl.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
He's not exciting at all, but he won a Super Bowl in his first 5 years, and he also signed a $100 million deal at quarterback. So I'm like, who would you rather be? Yes, Dak has earned confidence, but has he, Sel? Like, what has he really done from a collective to say, I'm out here and I'm going to say everything I want with my chest? Because why?
Hey, let's be real now. Now, the segment we've been doing is great. This is even greater. Success is not linear. If I had to be Russ, first 5 years, Dak, or Flacco. Flacco, you out the conversation. It's just Dak and Russ. Let's be real about it.
Why?
I'm going to tell you why. Because Russell Wilson was getting sunned by his own peers. They had to get rid of all the alpha males in that locker room just so he can be the leader that he is. Think about it. Dak Prescott is a 4th-round draft pick who's not even supposed to touch the field. First year, 13 wins. There was no issues in terms of leadership, in terms of respect, in terms of reverence. Russell Wilson couldn't even get his guys to follow him. Matter of fact, people take shots at Russell to this day saying, that first ring, that ain't yours, and the second ring is on you for us losing it. Versus Dak, who hasn't been in that position. So I understand why you would want to be him, but a person and a player combination of Dak Prescott, it's hard to take backseat to anybody, including Russell Wilson, in that conversation. All that said, it's okay to be cocky, dog. I know you cocky. I mean, you DM me another commercial you in, and I'm like, damn, it ain't even out yet. You got 2, but I got 20 DMs from you. It's okay. Be cocky. Coming up, Matt Nagy named Andy Dalton the Bears starter. We'll tell you if that was the right move right now. But first, the Nets finish the season with a bang. But will the season be a success if Brooklyn doesn't win a title? We'll answer that next on Speak for Yourself.
The Nets finished the season with one of the best highlights of the year and the 2nd seed in the East. Now, Brooklyn's all-world trio of KD, Kyrie, and James Harden have only played 8 games together, but Durant is looking forward to, quote, a new season in the playoffs. Take a listen.
Whatever we did so far is out the window. I mean, we obviously got principles and foundation that we want to build on, but it's a new season for us, and I think that's the mentality we all want to have. We did some solid things throughout the regular season, but we just want to continue to keep getting better, but not, realize that the regular season is over. This is a new vibe for us, so I'm looking forward to the preparation we go through, just the whole journey I'm looking forward to.
I'm looking forward to having NBA analyst Chris Broussard chime in on this block because I'm coming for blood. But Marcellus, you up first. Would anything less than a title be a disappointment for the Nets?
No, it wouldn't be a disappointment for the Nets. I want to keep things in perspective. First, let's properly define what disappointment is. It's the gap between expectations and reality, where this team will fall. What are the expectations? Are you expecting them truly to go out there and win it all this year, or are you hoping for them to go out there and win it all this year? I think they're going to come out the East, but to win it all, I will fall short of making that declaration. So that's part one. Part two is, let's just be real about this. I think we're all standing on this premise of championship or bust based on what we see in their talent level. Must I remind people that when we saw the Big Three go to Miami in their first year, they didn't win it all in year one? Must I remind people that when I saw LeBron James come to the Los Angeles Lakers in year one, He didn't win it all. Matter of fact, he didn't even go to the playoffs. Must I remind you that Kobe, going back, respect, rest in peace. Yeah, look at your face, Chris Broussard. Fix it. And you go back to Kobe Bryant and his first year when he had to go against a big three, they didn't win it all, but then he went back to back. Point being is you don't have to win it in year one, even though people see the talent level that can contend for that same championship. So if you guys are going to push back on this, trust me, I got 2 pages of notes to come back with some more conviction.
Bro, I ain't pushing back. I'm bringing a whole trailer back at you, big dog.
Oh.
Yes. It would be a huge, gigantic disappointment if the Brooklyn Nets did not win the title this year. And why would it be a disappointment?
Why?
Because you said it yourself. Expectations minus reality equals disappointment. Oh. The expectation is for the Nets to win a chip.
Oh.
Why is the expectation for the Nets to win a chip? Yeah. Because they have 2 former MVPs within the last 7 years on their squad at the age of 32 and under. Mind you, Steph Curry, who's 33, just won a scoring title, so we know you can play the game of basketball at a high level above the age of 32. With that being said, Marcellus Wiley, when the Heat didn't win the title their first year, that was a disappointment. When the Clippers didn't even make it to the finals last year, that was a disappointment. When LeBron James got hurt his first year in LA, that was a disappointment. All of these things you speak of are, in fact, disappointments. So how can you put Kevin Durant, your king, the best player in the NBA, plus James Harden, the best scorer of this generation, plus Kyrie Irving, maybe the most skilled player to ever touch a basketball, on the same team, and it not be considered a disappointment? For it not to be considered a disappointment if the Nets were to lose the title or not even make it is an indictment on superstar Kevin Durant. It is an indictment on Kevin Durant and his greatness if we were to say it is not a disappointment if the Nets lose a title. Why is it an indictment on Kevin Durant's greatness? Because statistically, or just with the eyeball test, Kevin Durant had significantly more help from his duo than LeBron James had from his duo with the Heat. Bring up the full screen as I talk it through, please.
Ooh, my dog.
James Harden and Kyrie Irving have significantly more points per game than Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh have. James Harden and Kyrie Irving actually have more rebounds per game than Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh have. James Harden and Kyrie Irving have significantly more assists per game, significantly, than Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh have. So if we want to make the equivalency that Kevin Durant is currently as great as LeBron James, which I have to hear you make far too often on this set.
Okay.
If we want to make that equivalency, if Kevin Durant is better and Kevin Durant gets more help, and it was a disappointment when LeBron didn't win, then Marcellus, don't do this. Don't tell me it's not a disappointment if the Nets don't win.
Hey, CB, hold this for a second. Let me handle this business, homie. I'm coming to you, CB, in a second. You're trying to tell me right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah, I got to cut you now. You're trying to tell me that the defending champs don't have the expectation to win it all, but a team in its first year gelling together has that same expectation. Make that make sense. You can't. You want to tell me right now that a team with the second best record in the Eastern Conference and fourth best record overall is supposed to win it all, but then the defending champs don't even have that same onus on their heads. Interesting right there. Let's talk about why they don't have to win it all this year and still can go out there and be dynastic. This is what you don't understand. Let's go back to the San Antonio Spurs. Remember them? Yeah, boring. People say that, but they kept winning titles and titles and titles. Let's go back to 2003 through 2007, where they won 3 of the 5 titles in that era. Then went 7 years just being good to great, not winning one again, and then pop, 2014 Heat. Here's another one for you. Point being, it doesn't have to happen instantaneously. It doesn't have to happen overnight. It doesn't have to happen in year one. That's all I'm saying. That said, this team is going to be dynastic, whether it happens this year or going forward.
All right, let me try to settle this debate. And I think both of you guys are on the extremes. I'm somewhere in between you guys. Obviously, Marcellus, it would be a disappointment if they don't win the championship. And, yeah, some people are picking the Lakers. A couple are picking Philadelphia, maybe the Clippers. But there are a lot of people, including a lot of ex-NBA players that I've seen on television, that you've seen on television, who are saying they expect Brooklyn to win it all. I've talked to people in the NBA who think in this era of offense, where it's not as much about defense as it used to be. It's about offense that Brooklyn's got too much. So a lot of people are expecting them to win the championship. So it would definitely be a disappointment. To me, the debate is this. Is it a failure? Is it a failure if they don't win the championship?
Talk that talk, CB. Where you at?
To that, I'm going to say it is not a failure if they don't win the championship. Definitely a disappointment, but not a failure. They do have things working against them, guys. They are attempting, as much as I like them, they are attempting to do something no other team in NBA history has ever done. And that is to win a championship with your 3 stars, really 3 superstars, playing 8 games together. 8 games. And you guys know this. It is harder to bring stars together or superstars together than it is role players. Because superstars are used to being the man. And when superstars link up with 2 other superstars, now everybody has to step back a little bit, defer a little bit, play a little differently than normal. And so it's tough to bring superstars together, right? It takes a little time. So 8 games generally isn't enough time. So because of that, they have, I won't even say a built-in excuse, but that would be a legitimate explanation if they don't win the championship. Now, you can use that same logic for if they lose to Milwaukee or if they lose to Philadelphia in the East, but they got too much talent for that. They do. Acho, you talked about it. 2 MVPs, all that, 2 guys who've already won championships. So I'm not going to give them that much rope. So I'm going to say it's a failure if they don't win the East. It's a failure if they don't at least get to the finals. And then if they lose to LeBron and AD, I won't say it's a failure, but it'll be a huge disappointment. And then, like Marcellus said, next year they can come back and win it.
CB, a wise man once stole a quote from a wiser man who said, don't lean up against the wall and then complain that your back is up against the wall. Chris Broussard, you said they're attempting to do something that's never been done. The big 3 only playing 8 games. Whose fault is that? It ain't my fault. It ain't your fault.
Did I do
It
that?
ain't my dog Marcellus's fault. It's not my fault Kyrie Irving needs a break every time a black person calls him an N-word.
Man, come on.
It's not my fault James Harden comes back prematurely from a hamstring to re-injure his hamstring. It's not my fault Kevin Durant can't play more than 6 games in a row, even though he didn't play for a whole season because he was recovering from an Achilles. It's not my fault. So don't complain, not you, but the Nets can't complain about a problem that they put themselves in. Man, you gonna complain that you late to work, but you woke up late? Huh? Like, you didn't set the alarm. Get up, and you'll be on time.
But injuries are legit.
Yeah, thank you.
Injuries are legit.
Injuries?
But here's what's not legit. Here's what's not legit, CB, and you know this, I know this, Sel knows this. It's your fault if you rush back prematurely from a hamstring injury and get hurt not even in a game play, and therefore you have to miss another month. A hamstring injury in the game of basketball should not take you 6 to 8 weeks to recover from unless you rip it completely off the bone. And James Harden does not run fast enough on the court to completely rip his hamstring off the bone. Let's be real. So, yes, injuries are a serious matter, but we have to speak in context of the injuries. But the biggest thing for me is simply this. It might be a failure, CB, because remember what LeBron said after losing to the Mavericks in 11. He came back and said, if we were to lose again, I knew that Pat Riley was going to break us up. So if the Nets mess around and lose right now, we can, at least you and I can agree, it's a disappointment. They are finally flirting with failure. Because if you put all 3 of them dogs together, who, let the majority of sports personalities tell them, Kevin Durant at this age, plus Kyrie at this age, plus James Harden at this age, is a greater trio than that LeBron plus that D-Wade plus Chris Bosh. You can look at the stats if you don't want to look at your own eyeballs. That is a greater trio. And we knew for certain it was a disappointment when they failed. If you want to say it's not a disappointment when the Nets fail or a failure, it's an indictment on KD's greatness. Then just completely remove him from the conversation as the greatest basketball player right now playing the game. Remove James Harden from the conversation of the greatest scorer. Remove Kyrie Irving from the conversation of the most skilled player to touch a basketball maybe. And then I'm good. And then I'm good. And then we can all proceed happily and we can all go sing Kumbaya and whatnot.
Well, Miami was certainly, it was beyond a disappointment. It was a failure when they lost it in their first year because they, unlike the Nets, they did have a whole season together, right, to work it out. Here's the advantage, though, that the Nets have over that Miami team. Like, I agree with you. Their trio is better, all right? But the Nets trio also fits together better. That Miami trio wasn't the greatest fit because LeBron and D. Wade had similar games. They both were used to dominating the basketball, and neither was a great outside shooter. So a lot of times that first year, it was my turn, your turn. You do your thing, I'll stand back and watch. It wasn't until D. Wade said, you know what? I'm going to have to play differently because we got to let LeBron be LeBron. That's when they went ahead and won 2 in a row. With the Nets, you don't have to do that because all 3 of these dudes can shoot. They can catch and shoot. So LeBron and D. Wade couldn't catch and shoot, but these 3 can catch and shoot. And Harden, as an elite facilitator, is huge. So I agree with you on that. Like, they fit together better than Miami's big 3, which is what gives me confidence that they can go ahead and win the championship this year. But I got to say this, man, before we go. Look, you guys know you want your picks to be right. So I'm pulling for the Nets because I picked them. I wanted them to win it. But I don't know if it's a good thing for the NBA if they win it. It's probably a bad thing for the NBA. Because if you can just drop 3 dudes together for 8 games, and then they can go through the playoffs and beat everybody, that is like Rick Bucher, Slick Rick said it yesterday, it would be the AAU-ification of the NBA. It's been going that way for years.
Yes.
But, I mean, if I could just drop cats together for a weekend and they can beat everybody in the tournament, that don't look like professional basketball, but I think they're so talented they can actually do it.
Yeah, I'm with you, CB. From hello, I saw this team come together, and I said they're going to come out the East. But I didn't also say that they're going to win it all, and I also am not going to be disappointed if they don't win it all because they're oven baking this versus microwaving this. Like you said, it doesn't have to happen after only 8 games played together and you win a championship. Part of me hopes that it doesn't happen that fast, that easily. But Acho, I need to see you on screen right here because when I see the word disappointment, and once again, I'm going to define it, the gap between expectations and reality. When did you make this appointment that this team was a championship team? Because I remember day one. Day one, you're like, no way,
I
no
don't
how.
think they are.
What?
I don't think they are.
Oh,
You think they are.
Okay, so if they don't win it all for you, it's not a disappointment because it's going as expected.
Fair.
Right, fair. So, good. Because day one, no one really was on this wagon. I kept hearing defense. Who's going to play defense? Where's the rim protector? And I was like, I don't give a damn. Look at the scoreboard. And now, today, after only 8 games played together, they're now the favorites to win it all. They're now the team to beat. That doesn't add up right there because those 8 games shouldn't be enough for you to say they're going to beat the defending champs. They're going to go out there and beat a better squad in totality of the Clippers, etc. So I don't know where this appointment came from that they have to win it all despite that they are the favorites. And I also don't know where the disappointment would come from if it just takes them 1 year to gel together. Coming up, diva is a phrase normally reserved for singers and wide receivers, but one Hall of Fame GM is using the title for some big-name quarterbacks. We'll discuss that next on Speak for Yourself. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and even Deshaun Watson for a time have made their discontentment known this offseason. While Wilson's back and forth with the Seahawks has switched back to private, Rodgers' dispute with the Packers remains in the public eye. Hall of Fame GM Ron Wolf, who was the Packers GM during the Favre era, weighed in with his thoughts saying, quote, "We have a lot of divas playing in the league right now. I fail to understand that all these guys have long-term deals. I can't believe the game has changed that remarkably." So, Acho, is the diva criticism of star quarterbacks justified?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's it? You agree?
I do. And but we going somewhere, Sal. We going somewhere, big dog.
Hell.
Look, y'all, let's be real. Russell Wilson was the highest paid quarterback at one point, and he was still out there complaining. Aaron Rodgers, highest paid quarterback at one point, still out there complaining. My dog, Deshaun Watson, highest paid quarterback at one point, still out there complaining right after he became the highest paid quarterback at one point. So, yes, they are being divas. But let's also keep in mind, Russell Wilson has only missed the playoffs once since he has become a starter. Aaron Rodgers was just a MVP over the entire National Football League. Deshaun Watson was just top 5 in every statistical category while still commanding a 4-12 team that lost the best receiver in the National Football League. So, yes, they are being divas. What's your point? That's my point. They being divas. And Beyonce's a diva. She literally wrote a song, I'm a diva.
Tell me back at
Shebang.
I'm a diva.
She's also the biggest or one of the biggest global icons.
Yeah.
What is your point? I can be a diva. And
Are you a diva?
yeah,
I'm about to say yes.
bruh, my book agents, they can't stand me. But we were still #1 New York Times bestsellers last week.
Twice.
So what's your point?
It's your boy.
What is your point? And they divas. Great. Aaron Rodgers is a diva. He's also the best quarterback in the National Football League. Russell Wilson's a diva. He's also the best quarterback the Seattle Seahawks has ever seen. Deshaun Watson's a diva. He's also the best quarterback the Houston Texans have ever seen. What's your point? I don't care. They can be divas. Be divas when you ball. You done said you're the cockiest person inside your own head. Nobody ever else gonna know. But you cocky. I don't care. Be cocky. We make good TV. And I'll be cocky if you make good TV. Now, don't be a diva and be sorry. That is a crime. Being a diva and being sorry is a crime. But being a diva and being a baller, I don't see the issue. What is the point? So, in totalities, yes, the criticism is justified. They are divas. And?
Damn. Let me say this. Whoa. Okay. All right. Look. Misery loves company, and I guess cocky does too, because you just is like, oh, you talking to me? This was an Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson conversation that hit you in the head, huh? Right here. Hit dogs holler. Oh, I'm cocky too. I don't think I'm a diva, but if you call me that, I ain't gonna disagree. Let's say that. But let me get back to my take.
Get to your point.
No, I don't look at this situation like you do. All right, look. Players can do what the hell they want to do. It's their career. That's where I'm going to start it. I'm going to frame it that way. Just as teams can do what they want to do to the players. However, there are different recourse in terms of actions. Let's be real about that. What recourse does a player have when they overperform? Hope, begging, please give me a new contract, I'm doing well. Okay. What recourse does a team have when a player underperforms? Get your ass up out of here at 11:59 p.m., right when you're trying to go to sleep. So there are going to be different consequences by you going out there and flexing your power. Whatever times the player flexes his power, it's called diva or things of this nature. When a team flexes his power, well, it's a part of their responsibility and them doing the right thing to protect their franchise and the product. Interesting take in terms of connotation. So me, I always criticize a player because when they get into this diva mode, Deshaun Watson, I was hypercritical of him because I was criticizing, will it work? Ron Wolf is not criticizing that. He's criticizing the right to even do it. And that's my problem with it. Look, these teams do it all day, and it's not a balanced equation where the players can do it all day. I just talked through that. But do the players have the right? Aaron Rodgers is basically sitting there saying, yeah, I know the consequences, and I'm going to take them on. Square up. And Ron Wolf, you should not interject. You should not get in between somebody who has the right to flex his own power. Got to bring in former Packer and Super Bowl champion, Fox NFL analyst Greg Jennings. So, Greg, is the diva criticism of star quarterbacks justified, you wide receiver diva?
No, and don't call me that. I've always disliked that term diva. I just know what I want. Individuals that know what they want. Acho, you know what you want. You know what you need to be successful, period. So I agree with both of you, but no, I don't think that this term diva is justified simply because when you look at these teams, and Marcellus, you laid it all out. These teams have always been able to dictate how players are going to perform, not so much how they're going to perform, but how long they will have to perform for the individual organization. The players don't have that luxury. They have the luxury, like you said, of hope. I hope that my performance provides me what I'm in search of. And so Aaron Rodgers, he's provided this outstanding, more than above par, above average MVP caliber performance for this franchise more than once. Acquired them their only Super Bowl under his tenure. So I shouldn't say their only Super Bowl, but his only Super Bowl under their tenure. And so for him to be classified as a diva from Ron Wolf, all I see is a former general manager, and I respect Ron Wolf. Trust me, I see a former general manager supporting his side, the general managers. I see quarterbacks, Brett Favre speaking out, supporting their side. That's what happens. This is no different than Tom Brady's departure from from even the New England Patriots. When he was disgruntled, he's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to put my hands off. I'm going to show you guys. I'm just going to walk away. And I'm going to prove that is it the Belichick way or is it my way? And it's not so much that players want it to be their way. They just want their share, their fair shake, period. And that's all Aaron Rodgers is saying. Look, I've done it your way forever. Now it's my turn to at least have it done or you consider doing it my way. That's all Aaron Rodgers is doing. That's all any one of these quarterbacks have been doing.
Hey, big dog, look, usually it's Marcellus and I up here giving that free game, but today you brought some free game because I'm going to steal it from you and I'm not going to cite you but one time. I'm not a diva. I just know what I want. That was a bar. That was a bar because that's what it comes down to. Personalizing it or not personalizing it, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, myself. Honestly, it doesn't need to be done my way. It needs to be done the right way. For Aaron Rodgers, it don't need to be done his way. It just needs to be done the right way. Now the question is, what does the right way look like? Y'all figure it out. But the right way looks like championships. The right way doesn't look like allowing 35 points per game in championship games, which is what the Green Bay Packers do. Deshaun Watson, it doesn't need to be done my way. It needs to be done the right way. But the right way isn't trading DeAndre Hopkins. That's not the right way. The right way, sure as heck, isn't losing all of the talent around your roster offensively. Russell Wilson, it don't necessarily need to be done my way. Well, for Russ, he wanted to cook. It need to be done his way. But in all honesty, even when I think about myself, because you hit the nail on the head and you hit me in my heart with that same nail, I'm not a diva. I just know what I want. When you talk about what is being a diva is a self-important person that is temperamental and difficult and hard to please. A self-important person that is temperamental or difficult and hard to please. But why are you hard to please? Because you want things done the right way. So I'm not going to be mad at Aaron Rodgers because he wants to win another championship. Probably worse than Matt LaFleur, probably worse than Gutekunst. I'm not going to be mad at Deshaun Watson because he doesn't want to go 4-12 when he leads the NFL in most major statistical categories. I'm not going to be mad at Russell Wilson because he tasted success his second year in the league. He tasted it again his third year in the league, and he hasn't tasted it since. They're difficult and they are hard to please because they have expectations. So if we are going to call him a diva, because I'm not as opposed to being called that, I understand they might not be being divas. They just know what they want, G.
Man, look, you can study societies, you can study human behavior. You come to realize that a loss of power is always met with resistance, whether it's physical, mental, psychological. You're not going to relinquish that power easily. Ron Wolf is just in that position right now. He's like, I'm trying to stick up for the fraternity of general managers. We're losing our power right now. These players out here getting it. They're out here texting and just running 7-on-7s with each other and swapping teams at their own liking. I get that. Now, let's dive a little deeper into that, because this reminds me of an 80s movie I know Acho didn't watch, but I'm going to just bring it up anyway. Revenge of the Nerds. You remember that movie? You ever heard of it, Acho? When the smart kids finally stuck up to those cool kids and took their power back, or at least got treated fairly. And I remember that movie in jest, but it's a real lesson in there. Like, yo, do what you want to do. Now, there's going to be consequences of what you do. And 2 of the 3 cases we keep mentioning, I didn't think they had a leg to stand on. Russell Wilson, as soon as you started to cry and complain, I was like, you can do it, but it's not going to work. Deshaun Watson, as soon as you started to do it, I was like, you can do it, but it's not going to work. Aaron Rodgers, it might work because they actually contributed to the fire that Aaron Rodgers is now going to burn them down with. Jordan Love, lack of personnel, etc. And he's coming off of an MVP year. But all this is just the same way of saying, y'all, it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. And we all know that. Ron Wolf had the gun for so many years. Let's just look at his resume and record of guys that he sent on that one-way ticket to the Greyhound station just because he felt like it. And now, finally, one of those players got off that bus and said, damn it, I ain't going nowhere. Matter of fact, y'all pack y'all bags and leave. Kind of interesting to see this player empowerment play out. Coming up, Andy Dalton has been a Chicago Bear for about a month and a half, longer than rookie quarterback Justin Fields has. That must explain why Coach Matt Nagy named Dalton the starter. We'll get into that next on Speak.
Yeah. I'm a diva, bro.
Who do I got to sue? That was my real 23andMe right there. I saw some other stuff in there. That's me. Not all Nigerian. You're watching Speak for Yourself. Marcellus Wiley, Emmanuel Acho, Uga Oga. Let's head to... I told you I ain't all Nigerian. Let's head to Chicago, where Bears coach Matt Nagy has options at quarterback. Chicago signed 10-year vet Andy Dalton in March and drafted Justin Fields 11th overall in April. Plus, former Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles is still in the building. Damn, we forgot about him. With all that going on, Coach Nagy has already made a decision on his starting quarterback, saying, quote, Andy is the starter. Andy is going to get the 1 reps. Greg Jennings is riding with us. But, Acho, you have a problem with Matt Nagy naming Andy the starter?
Yo, I got a huge problem with it, Sal. I'm not going to expend too much energy on it because of how stupid it is. I'm not going to let it raise my blood pressure.
Wow.
It's incredibly imbecilic. And here's why. We know Andy Dalton is not a better quarterback than Justin Fields. We don't have to be a pro-level evaluator to understand that. Matt Nagy, we also understand that your job is on the line, and we don't have to be a pro-level genius to understand that. So understanding both that Justin Fields is a better quarterback than Andy Dalton and Matt Nagy, your job is on the line, we all know who is going to be the starter. So what do you get out of saying Andy Dalton is still your starter? Your players in the locker room are simply looking at you like a fool that you sound like because we all know that Andy Dalton is not truly the starter. As soon as players in a locker room realize that you are lying to them, they lose respect or at least lose trust. Now everything you say, they begin to question because they understand that you pander to a degree. And so with that being said, Matt Nagy, what you're saying truly makes no sense. Furthermore, I'll couch it by saying this. Matt Nagy, you also said Andy Dalton is like a rookie to the Chicago Bears because he just got here 2 months ago. So if Andy Dalton and Justin Fields are both like rookies to you, then what rookie would you rather have? The rookie who is 6-16 over his last 2 years, or the rookie who's 20-2 over his last 2 years? The rookie who has a 68% completion percentage, or the rookie in Andy Dalton with a 61% completion percentage? The rookie who had 63 passing touchdowns, or the rookie who had 30? Obviously, there's a little bit of jest in what I am saying because Andy Dalton has been in the NFL and Justin Fields in college. But Matt Nagy, what you're saying is completely a joke because if they are both rookies to you, then be the competent individual and don't even act as though it is ambiguous. We know Justin Fields is your starter.
Yeah, for me, I'm a little different. I don't mind that he's calling Andy Dalton the starter. And the reason why is desperate people do desperate things. The Bears were desperate. They lost out on the Russell Wilson chase. The Seattle Seahawks wasn't letting him go. They tried to throw everything they possibly could to acquire his talents, but they couldn't do that. Then you go out and you go back to your fan base and you say, oh, we're going to bring Mitchell Trubisky back. They can't do that. They can't do that. So they go out and find whatever is available, and it just happens to be Andy Dalton. And he has had some decent seasons throwing the football. So if you're an offensive coordinator as a head coach, you're thinking, I can work with that. It's better than what I had, or it's something different at the very least. So I don't mind it. But then you get this young guy. An opportunity, you see him in the draft. Justin Fields, he falls into your lap or you go get him. However you want to look at it, the Bears knew they had something special and they had a great opportunity. So you don't need to throw him in there right away. He's going to take it. That's who Justin Fields is. That's who he's showing us he is. His alpha mentality, his ability to lead, his whole entire mentality and mental approach to the game. He just has that it that we all talk about. And so I don't see it being an issue. But one thing I want to remind you guys of, when Andy Dalton, the reason he signed with the Bears is because Matt Nagy promised him, oh, yeah, you'll be our starter. You'll be our starter. So what does that make Matt Nagy out to be if he's not? A liar. One thing players can't stand is a coach that they can't trust. If he can't trust you, why am I even here? So, yes, I'm going to make you my starter until this young man comes and takes your spot.
Damn, fire take, GJ. You figured it out. He didn't want to be a liar, so he kind of doubled down on something that he knows is not the truth. And people are going to figure him out. He's going to look even worse as a liar as this plays out. It's thinly veiled. Here's what I have to say about it. Yes, I have a problem with Matt Nagy naming Andy from Child's Play. If y'all don't get this reference, go back and watch Chucky. Naming Andy as the starter. Here's why. Coach, let me help you out. I know you're like, dude, just be an analyst and a host. Don't try and help me coach. But I'm going to help you out right here because I'm a former player. Why not have an open competition? You actually got some names in that building, in that quarterback room. Why not say Andy, Justin, and Nick, y'all go out there and battle it out? Why do you have to have an open competition? I'll tell you why. Because Mark Twain said it best. I love me some Mark Twain. It is better to keep your mouth closed and let people think you're a fool than to open it and remove all doubt. Damn it! As soon as you say Andy Dalton is your starting quarterback and Justin Fields is right there next to Nick Foles, you know what most of those players are saying, the other 50 players that are going to be on this squad? Man, what this fool talking about? Ain't no way Andy Dalton is going to be the starting quarterback for this team. So this is what you need to do. Stop with the dunces depth chart. Yeah, I used to call it that, the dunces depth chart. I don't know if this ever happened to you, Greg. I don't know if this ever happened to you, Acho, but I always bring it up. I remember I transferred high schools, and then when I got recruited to go to the next high school, so why would I go to another high school and be third on the depth chart? But day one, I was third on the depth chart. I was like, look at this old fake-ass depth chart. Boy, you know I'm starting no matter what I do in training camp. And I started. So it's funny, like, we have to watch coaches do all these shenanigans when the reality is, bruh, ain't nobody believing that hype. It almost takes me back to track and field. Acho knows about this. When you get into the race and they got a rabbit there, like the fake runner. Ain't nobody stunting that dude. That dude running too fast, too far ahead. Ain't nobody even tripping on him. He's supposed to try and increase the pace. He doesn't count. Andy Dalton is the rabbit in this race. He doesn't count. We know Justin Fields is coming to get it, like GJ said.
Yo, Sal, you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head with all of this. I'm going to just end it with a story, my own little take.
Let's go.
And y'all know I've said this before. Every now and then you can read through coaches' BS, which is just why I don't like it, GJ. That's why I'm so, that's why I'm so, vehemently against and vehemently juxtaposed to what the coach is doing. Chip Kelly, head coach, y'all know this, told y'all this before.
Well, how many times Chip Kelly get on your head?
It's just things that he did, Sal. He didn't, this ain't even got nothing to do with me. Chip Kelly, this is something that he did that it ran me hot. And I've told this story before, but it ran me hot.
Yeah, fired him up.
Yeah, he ran me hot. He ran me hot. This is what he did. Chip, we knew your quarterbacks at Oregon were the likes of Dennis Dixon, the likes of Jeremiah Masoli, the likes of Marcus Mariota. We know your quarterbacks are versatile. You leave Oregon so you can go be coaching Michael Vick. But then all of a sudden, you go trade for Sam Bradford. Chip, we know you don't like Sam Bradford. You faster than Sam Bradford. So, we know Sam Bradford was not meant to be your quarterback. We knew you tried to use Sam Bradford to trade to acquire Marcus Mariota, the number 2 overall pick that the Titans drafted. But then you gonna lie to all of us in May, like Matt Nagy is lying to all of the Bears in May and saying that Sam Bradford is our quarterback. We looking at you stupid because we know that you know that we know he not your quarterback. And why am I so opposed to it, GJ, Greg Jennings? Because the Bears know that Matt Nagy knows that they know Andy Dalton ain't the starter. So y'all all just wasting time and space.
So here it is for me. And you hit the nail on the head too. But Andy Dalton knew. He knew going in. That's why he needed to be guaranteed, I'm the starter. I need to know, am I the starter? Because he knew right away the Bears were looking for something more than what he was going to be able to provide.
Man.
So as a player, Marcellus, when you transferred to that school, you didn't have to ask the coach, am I going to start? You didn't need to know that. You already knew. You knew. I don't need you to confirm whether or not I'm going to be that dude because I know I'm that dude. And everybody that I'm coming into contact with that plays that position are well aware of me being that dude. So it's just as much on Andy Dalton as it is on the Bears.
Golly, G, you taking me there again, man. As Ice Cube once said, here we go with this mandatory time wasting. Like, everybody know what's going to happen, but we got to whack like we don't know what's going on. The first time I ever looked at a depth chart, this going to sound cocky, I don't give a damn. I ever looked at a depth chart in my life was when I was in Jacksonville when I was sorry. Because even in Buffalo when I was... hey, I'm skipping over Buffalo years when I wasn't even going to play. Because I knew I wasn't going to play. But when I was the man, I didn't even have to ask Coach, hey, so am I getting rep, first team, second team? Man, I knew. And it's funny that you brought that up, GJ. Damn, you nailed this dude. This is the last thing I got to say about this, Matt Nagy. We know, as players, you got to put somebody's name on the depth chart. We understand that. So you got to put a name there, but be careful which name you put there. You should have put 1A, 1B, 1C or something like that. But let them compete for real. I mean, for real, or your team truly will resent you for not keeping it 100. Coming up, LeBron is one of the greatest basketball players in the history of the earth, but he thinks people don't fully appreciate him as a scorer. We'll discuss next on Speak for Yourself.
LeBron's Lakers finished the season with a win over the Pelicans. The Kings scored 25 points, which is also the season average. That gives him 17 seasons averaging 25 points or more. And LeBron made sure we were all aware of it. The Lakers superstar posted a graphic of the milestone with the caption, "Since I was 19 years old, and I'm a pass-first guy, always been. That's why I'm never mentioned with the greats of scoring, huh? That's perfect, because I'd rather keep it that way." Talk that talk then, King James. Joined by NBA analyst Chris Broussard, but Marcellus start us off. Should LeBron be worried about his critics?
No, he shouldn't be worried about his critics because you'll never exterminate the haters. They're always going to survive this. They're like roaches, brother. So why make an effort to answer the haters? But LeBron did something a little more complicated in this one. This stat, which is LeBron James having 17 years, 25 or more points per game, which is obviously a record, was giving him love, was giving him props. But he couldn't leave good enough alone. He had to spin it into a slight about LeBron James and all of those naysayers out there who don't give him his proper due, his proper credit. Basically, he took the sugar out the lemonade, made it a little tart. And I was like, damn, LeBron, they trying to give you some props on this one. Like, I understand where you're feeling slighted in totality, but specifically this one, this was nothing but love. Kind of takes me back to high school. I don't know if y'all ever been there in this moment where you give somebody a compliment on their shoes. "Oh, those fresh, big dog." He said, "Yeah, but you were clowning my shirt 2 weeks ago." You're like, "Hey, bro, I'm talking about your shoes right now, and they fresh. And if you want to say something about 2 weeks ago, call your foul then." So LeBron did something that it's just showing a little bit of like a slight mental fracture. Like he's trying to get it all together in a positive way, but taking sometimes a negative road.
I mean, let's be real, though. Let's be real. LeBron doesn't have haters. He just got fans in denial. And the kicker is, if LeBron does not educate his critics, they will never transition into their true position as fans. Thus,
Love Jones.
He has to be worried about his critics because critics dictate his legacy. See, the things that you can't argue about, who has more points all time? Well, LeBron has more points than a Michael Jordan. Who has more assists all time? Well, LeBron has more assists than a Jordan. Who has more rebounds all time? Well, LeBron has more boards than a Michael Jordan. But the things that we can debate, critics vote on. Well, who has more regular season MVPs? Oh, dang. Well, who has more all-defensive teams? Oh, dang. Well, who has more all-NBAs? See, critics dictate legacy. Chris Broussard, you're a voter when it comes to postseason and regular season accolades.
Critic looking ass.
Slick Rick Bucher, he's a voter when it comes to regular season and postseason accolades. So we have to be worried about critics. LeBron has to be worried about critics because critics do, in fact, dictate LeBron's legacy.
Point.
Wow. I don't think he should be worried about critics. And I'm not sure LeBron is worried about critics. I think LeBron is motivated by critics. And he's challenged by critics. And I'm not so sure this isn't another way, obviously he's motivated within himself, but that this might not be another way he's getting himself going. You look at LeBron James's greatest achievements. They've all come after major criticism. After major shade was thrown his way. His first championship. The work, I mean, we think it was bad in 2010 when he went to Miami, and it was. But after he melted down against Dallas, and then after he sat on the podium and said, you know, y'all fans, just go back to your regular lives. I'm good. Like, you know, people took that as a negative. And so that whole offseason, he was crushed. He comes back and wins the championship. Go to his next ring, or not his next ring, but he goes to Cleveland. And, you know, the year before, Golden State had beaten the Cavs. And people were saying Steph was winning MVPs, and people even thinking he might be better than LeBron, best player in the world right now. LeBron goes out, the critics motivate him, he wins the championship in 2016. He goes to the Lakers. They kill him because he doesn't even make the playoffs in his first year with the Lakers. People say he's old. Oh, you turned on playoff mode, LeBron. You activated playoff LeBron and went 8-13 when you came back. what's going on? You're getting old now, and you better win a championship because every superstar on your level that's gone to the Lakers has won a ring. And what does he do? He goes out and wins the championship. So I think that this is LeBron's way of getting a little extra juice, getting himself juiced up just a tad bit more. And you guys notice he does this whenever the basketball world is focused elsewhere. So in 2015, Cavs lose Game 5 to Golden State. It seems clear the Warriors are about to win the championship. LeBron goes up to the post-game podium and says, I'm the best player in the world. It's as simple as that. Oh, everybody talking about Steph, but y'all recognize I'm the best player in the world. Okay, right now, the focus is on Nikola Jokic about to win his first MVP. The focus is on Steph. What a season. Oh, my goodness. He was awesome. Kevin Durant, Marcellus Wiley and others saying, oh, Kevin Durant, KD is the best player in the world now. LeBron is reminding folk, yo, I run this. I got this. I'm the best player on the planet, and don't you forget it.
And King Kong ain't got nothing on me. I give you all of that. Let me abbreviate my take then, because I understand where LeBron is coming from listening to you and Acho talk. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. So LeBron, I mean, he shouldn't even have to squeak. I mean, God, look how big his rims are. Look how, this is LeBron James, and we still got to wait for him to squeak to give him a little oil. That said, when you start talking about how the critics motivate him, and we've seen LeBron James try to be the villain at times, try to go into that dark place in response to all that criticism, it sounds like a cute way of saying he internalizes the negative and then wants to reset it, which is fine. We all know that Michael Jordan is probably the king of doing that. But I don't know if that's going to work for LeBron James in this situation. It seems like this situation, he spun this overtly, like kind of obviously. Like, they're giving you props. The next guy is at year 12 of how many times they had 25 points per game. And LeBron, that gap right there should have been enough for us to all just hit the heart button, like him, and just say, LeBron, amazing, amazing. But LeBron spun it. And that looked a little weak for me, a little thirsty for me. Like, dog, we're giving you your props. You need more than that in this moment. So, you know, you can see your haters without looking at them. You can feel your haters without touching them. You can hear them without even seeing them. But LeBron in this situation looks like he's acknowledging them, which makes me think it's affecting them.
I like your take, Sal, but I think that the caveat, if you're LeBron, is he did bring us aware of something we weren't aware of prior. We don't ever talk about LeBron as one of the greatest scorers of all time. Right now, we're talking about Steph Curry as one of the greatest shooters, obviously. But, CB, I don't know if that was a natural glitch in your body or if that was a genuine reaction. But be real. We don't talk about LeBron as one of the... We talk about Jordan. We talk about KD. We talk about Harden. But we don't talk about, like, LeBron. And LeBron is like, wait a second. What Steph is doing is cute. What Harden is doing is cuter. What KD is doing might be the cutest. But none of them are on my level, even in regards to scoring. And scoring isn't even what I do best. LeBron is like, I average 25 a game for 17 seasons. The next is at 12 seasons.
Damn.
That's something I genuinely was unaware of. I knew he was about to eclipse eventually Karl Malone, eclipse eventually Kareem, but I wasn't under the, like, I didn't have the mental cognition of like, oh, wait a second. 25 points a game, 17 straight seasons.
Oh.
Wow. So I do think, CB, sometimes he has to bring it to our attention because we become numb to greatness. We become numb to all things that we desire if we start to get them in excess. And LeBron James is like, y'all not going to become numb to my greatness, not on my watch.
Well, Acho, the reason I made that look that you called me out on was... I have always felt like LeBron was among the greatest scorers. Now, the reason a lot of people don't mention him is because he doesn't have the arsenal that obviously a Michael Jordan had, that a Kevin Durant has. He's not the jump shooter that those guys were. Kobe Bryant's arsenal. Kobe had more of a variety of ways to score. And that's why people don't include him. James Harden as a tremendous three-point shooter, obviously Steph. That is why people don't include LeBron when they talk about who are the greatest scorers of all time or the greatest scorers in the league and all that. I don't think it's just his assist. I think it's that he doesn't have the variety of ways to do it like those guys. But I've always pushed back on that a little, and I've said, look, LeBron may not do it as gracefully as a Kevin Durant or as a Michael Jordan or a Kobe Bryant, but he scores as much as those guys and more than Kobe and some of these other guys, and he does it more efficiently or as efficiently. He's always at 50% or above. Kobe was 45%, 44% for his career. So I've said LeBron is among the great scorers. I compare it to Shaq. If you take Shaq, you can say, hey, David Robinson had more finesse, more moves. He could shoot the J better than Shaq. Hakeem Olajuwon had more moves, obviously, with the dream shake than Shaq. Okay. All Shaq did was dunk on you and a little jump look here and there. But you couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
I don't care if he dunks every time. You can't stop it. So that's how it is with LeBron. He's a Mack truck. He's not as graceful as most of the other great scorers we've seen on the perimeter, but he gets it done, and he gets it done efficiently. So I do think he is among the greatest scorers of all time.
Yeah, I'm with you. And this got on my radar because Gilbert Arenas brought it up as well. Don't say this to Gilbert Arenas about LeBron not being a top scorer. That and Kwame Brown's name right now because obviously they're on the internet. Look, let's just be real about this. LeBron doesn't get it. CB hit it. LeBron's default is bully ball. And we all know it when we look at some of the other greatest scorers all time. They got a tool belt that wraps around them twice. And then you look at LeBron, and he playing bully ball. And we all know when you were on the playground, to get full respect and to get the full love, the rule was no back downs and no layups. Like, you had to show more than just back down, you're taller than me, you're bigger than me, you're stronger than me. And I think LeBron actually takes a slight because of that. Good for you, LeBron, for reminding us today, at least, that, hey, I'm still one of the best to do this. Coming up, 49ers coach Kyle Shanahan is leaving the door open to starting Trey Lance. Really? Tell you if we like that. Next on Speak for Yourself. 49ers are destined to have a quarterback competition this season. Trey Lance is on the practice field in San Francisco. Jimmy G is in the building. And Kyle Shanahan is out here doing podcasts. 49ers head coach and signal caller was asked about the possibility of Trey Lance taking over as a starter at some point this season. Take a listen to Shanahan's response.
Yeah, there's a chance for that at every single position on our team. So there definitely is the way that you're saying about Trey. I'm not trying to give Florio some big headline that he makes an annoying statement out of. Right. But yeah, there is.
Acho. Trey Lance look good in them videos. You like Kyle Shanahan leaving the door open for Trey Lance to start.
I love it. I think as opposed to what we saw Matt Nagy doing, Andy Dalton is our starter, Kyle Shanahan is keeping it real. Okay. He's like, at the end of the day, Jimmy G is a very good quarterback. We all know that. I don't need to tell y'all that. 22-8 as a starter through his first 30 starts. We all know where that ranks all time. That's top 4. But in the same perspective, he's like, we drafted Trey Lance, number 3 overall. We traded 2 future first-round picks, an additional to our current first-round pick, up to that number 3 spot. That means something. It all means something. What I respect about Kyle Shanahan, he may have been facetious at times and may have been, like, jokingly annoying at times, but he's never lied thus far.
Okay.
Remember, even when we said, is Jimmy G going to be on the roster come Sunday after the NFL draft? Well, I don't know if anybody's going to be alive on Sunday. At least he didn't lie to us. Was it annoyingly stupid? Sure. But, like, he ain't lied to us. Saying right now, the door's open for Trey Lance to start. I respect that more, Sel, because at least you're not lying to us. We all know what it is.
Yeah.
You don't trade up to draft a quarterback, number 3 overall, and not play him relatively quickly. So we all know he's going to start. Don't sit here and lie to us. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to Jimmy G. Don't lie to Marcellus. Don't lie to nobody. Call a spade a spade. Lastly, we all know the stats and the history. 29 of the 30 quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round from 2010 to 2020, they started in their first year at least 1 game. That is 29 out of 30 quarterbacks from 2010 to 2020. Water cooler stat. That means if you get drafted in the first round, you go start. Trey Lance, not only did you get drafted in the first round, they traded up to draft you in the first round and traded 2 future first-round picks to draft you in the first round. Clearly, you're going to start. I respect the mess out of Kyle Shanahan for not telling us a comfortable lie as opposed to a hard truth.
I got to rip up all this because you made me like Kyle Shanahan because you know I can't stand that dude. I'm going to be careful up here saying who I don't like anymore because Kwame Brown is resetting the game. Kyle Shanahan might snap back on me real tough like. That said, man, he's never lied. I give you that. And I want to open competition. Trey Lance, you know that eyeball test, especially as an athlete, it shouldn't be a conviction, but it certainly should lead you to saying suggestion. And I've seen Jimmy G play a whole lot. You know I love Jimmy G Q. Got a poster on my wall damn near how much I take up for him. Trey Lance looked good in that video, boy. I don't know. I mean, that's just practice on air reps. I like that. I want to see that version because that just reminds me of what Lil Wayne had. No ceilings. I mean, think about it. Acho, I don't know if you know this, and you probably shouldn't hear this on air in front of everybody, but, you know, when they were talking about you coming to this show, they were talking about you going on a lot of shows because you were big time. You know, you were climbing up, and they were like, Acho gonna go here. What was it? First things first, and here. And I know a lot. And I was like, damn, okay. And then all of a sudden, it became crystal clear that Acho needed to come here. You know why? You have no ceilings. And now you're proving everybody right. Like, slow down, though. Keep me with you somewhere. But the point is, you look like Trey Lance. Like, that's what they saw in you. And I saw it in him. And so I'm sorry, Jimmy G Q. I'm going to rip your poster down, damn it. It's time to move on and move forward. This is one more thing I got to say about you, Kyle Shanahan, because you hit my heart, and Acho brought it home for me. Outkast used to say, 2 things I hate, liars and thieves. They make my blood boil. Boa constricted around my soul that they coil. You know what's so deep about that? Damn, I love you, Andre. If you don't lie to me, you could do a lot of other things to me. You could be dumb, you could be stupid, you could be annoying, you could be irritating, everything. But if you ain't lying to me, I'm still on the tracks riding with you. And that's what I love about Kyle Shanahan in this situation. Coming up, there's a phrase people use to describe Carson Wentz that makes his new head coach cringe. We'll tell you what that is and if it's a fair criticism. Next on Speak for Yourself.
Carson Wentz was benched in Philly last season, but gets a chance for a fresh start this year in Indy. Colts head coach Frank Reich is a familiar face. He was Wentz's offensive coordinator with the Eagles. Now remember, when Reich was asked about the perception some around the game have that Wentz is broken, this is what he had to say.
I just cringe when I hear stuff like that. Not that a player shouldn't be accountable for poor play on the field, and you know Carson has to answer to that, and he has answered to it. And until you get out there and prove otherwise, that's what you live. That's what you live with. But you know, I just know that playing the position of quarterback, there's so many factors that go into it. We've talked a lot about why the poor play last year. I'm just very confident that he has a team around him.
So, Marcellus Wiley, you tell me, is Carson Wentz broken?
Better hope not. That's harsh. I don't like to fix my lips to say 2 words when it comes to players, that they're broken or they're a bust. I just say, Kwame Brown.
Especially now.
Especially now. Duck Kwame in the building. That said, if Indy can't fix him and Frank Reich in Indy can't fix him, he roadkill. And think about this, because every single player that I've ever come across wants to start fast. Week 1. Go out there and get your sacks. Acho, go get you a tackle for loss and an interception. We want to start fast, but we don't need to start fast, especially this year, 17 games. But I think there's one player that needs to start fast. Can you imagine Carson Wentz? 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 178 yards, Indy lost week 1. Those doubt birds, I don't know if you ever seen the movie The Birds back in the 80s. They used to attack people. Those doubt birds would attack Carson Wentz and ravage him and leave him for dead, because everyone is sitting there as holding their collective breath to see what Carson Wentz is going to do. And it's going to be confirmation bias either way. If he balls out, he back where he's supposed to be with Frank Reich, and there it is, form Voltron. If he doesn't, oh my God, they're going to be on his head, including me. And that's a problem for a player to have that amount of pressure, that much dictated in just one outcome. But I don't think he's broken, but he better make sure he's not, because week 1's going to tell it all.
You hit the nail on the head, Sal. Let me go here, though. Was Carson Wentz broken? I can concede to that. But the beautiful thing about something that is broken is it can be put back together. And something that is broken particularly can be fixed by the person that created it in the first place.
Okay.
Was Carson Wentz broken? Sure. But who created Carson Wentz's greatness in the first place? Frank Wright. That 2017 season when Carson Wentz had 33 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, was on pace to become the league MVP prior to getting hurt, had an 11-2 record for the Philadelphia Eagles. Who created Carson Wentz in the first place? The same coach who he's now partnered with to be put back together. Every now and then, I will attempt a Wileyism, but I will butcher it. It's very easy for Marcellus Wiley, the creator of a Wileyism, to fix the Wileyism that I break. Because he created it. Every now and then, somebody will try to quote one of my quotes back to me. Acho, what did you say about the acronym for denial? Don't even know I am lying. It's easy for me to put the acronym back together that somebody else broke because I created it.
Yeah, that's you.
So if you're talking about was Carson Wentz broken, I'll concede to that. I'm not going to try to act like his 2020 season was great. I'm not going to do that. But what I can also acknowledge is this. Something that is broken can easily be mended, and something that is broken can most definitely be mended by the person that created it in the first place. Frank Wright created Carson Wentz's greatness. Was he broken? I'm not going to argue about that. But I can tell you this. Even if he was, Frank Wright can put it back together.
Be careful. All right, now we're going somewhere because we know all of us in society are conditioned beings, okay? But athletes are really uber conditioned beings, okay? So we're just really a collection of our habits. And it's nearly impossible, but not impossible, to break habits. Think about it. That's why we practice so much. The game is once a week for 3 hours for only 17 weeks. There are 52 weeks in a year. You know how many times we practice? You know how many hours we collect versus how many hours we actually perform, just so we could create positive habits. When your habits are bad, the outcome is going to be bad, right? So the first thing that he's going to now look at is, I don't like my outcome, I change my habits. But now you got to condition yourself not only with different habits, but to have the confidence in those new habits. Here's the problem. There's resistance. There's adversity. There's talent on the other side wearing a different jersey color. So you may now be in a place where you have good habits, but not enough confidence to fight off all the adversity coming your way. Week one, there's going to be players who feel comfortable in being who they are. Carson Wentz is not going to feel fully comfortable being who he is week one. Because it's like, okay, I'm back with my ex. Is it going to work? That first date is weird. And this is going to be their first date, dog. I'm wishing, I'm rooting. I don't want this guy to fall down flat. But damn, he has a daunting task to try and resurrect and redeem who he is.
The other issue is the issue you first brought up, which is we're all kind of now looking at Carson Wentz with a little bit of a bias. Imagine if you break up with somebody because they are notoriously late. They were late to your Thanksgiving meal. They were late to Christmas. They were just late. They always ran late. Then finally, after 6 to 8 months, you're like, you know what? I respect you more. I respect your time more. So I promise from here on out, I will no longer be tardy whenever we have dates scheduled and plans.
Don't say it.
The first date back, now they actually get into a car accident. A real legitimized issue that makes them late.
Yes.
But you on the receiving end, it don't matter that it was legit or not.
Yeah.
Because you just interpret that and internalize that as, here we go again.
Here we go again.
In the event, the Colts week one, and they play the Seattle Seahawks who have a revamped defense, not to mention Jamal Adams, who will again be coming back, hopefully more healthy, full year in the system. Carlos Dunlap, plus I believe they signed Aldon Smith, unless the Cowboys retain him. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah. But I do know that the Seahawks added up some talent to the defensive front. If Carson Wentz has a legitimate bad game, not like he just don't know how to play football anymore, but the 2 Pro Bowl safeties for the Seahawks make great plays, we all going to be looking at Carson Wentz like, here we go again.
How about that? All right. I love that example because that was direct. Here we go again, Carson Wentz, you didn't perform. How about even in the indirect? If they lose and Carson Wentz doesn't stand out in the positive, they still going to blame him. Let me give you this example. This happened to my uncle. He got out of jail. I was young. I think it was theft, armed robbery, something of that nature. Was taking something. We at the crib, grandma's house. All of a sudden, somebody can't find their purse. You know what they looked at?
Exactly.
My damn uncle. Turns out they just put their purse in somebody else's bedroom because they didn't want it in the living room. Yep. He had to take about 4 hours of barbecue getting thrown at him all the time in the accusation. Carson Wentz, be careful. Even indirectly, they could be shooting at you. Coming up, somebody's accusing the Clippers of tanking, which the play-in games were supposed to prevent. We'll get to the bottom of that next on My Clippers and speak for yourself. Here are the facts as they are presented to me. My Clippers finished in the 4th seed after a loss to the Thunder in the finale. Clippers rested 5 players, including their top 3 scorers, and other people saw more in that decision, including one NBA insider who claimed the Clippers lost to avoid the Lakers. What? Saying, quote, well, you can accuse them of tanking. I'm going to convict them of tanking. Come on, Windhorse, you're better than that. So, Acho, my Clippers intentionally lost to avoid the Lakers.
Nah, big dog, I'm selling that real quick. I would like to buy it, right? That makes for a great story, and I believe never let the truth get in the way of a good story. However, this time the truth got to get in the way. Chris Paul said it best. He said the West has been a beast for 15, 20 years now.
Facts.
If you want to win a chip in the West, you're going to have to go through some big dogs. You're going to have to go through some big guns. So the Clippers are going to avoid the Lakers, but in turn have to play the Jazz maybe in the second round. Furthermore, when the Clippers were playing, it was still in flux who was going to be the 3-4 seed. We don't even know who's going to be the 7-8 seed. We don't even know if the Lakers are going to be healthy with LeBron, if the Lakers are going to be healthy with AD. As hot as Steph Curry looks now, are you really trying to see him? Everybody look good. The Joker's about to be the MVP. LeBron James is LeBron James. Steph Curry just won a scoring title at 32. The Utah Jazz are the best defending plus 3-point shooting team in the league. The Suns are led by first ballot Hall of Famer and Chris Paul, plus Devin Booker, who is a walking bucket at any point in time. Everybody good. I'm not convinced that Kawhi Leonard, PG, Rondo were actively trying to avoid the Lakers. If any... Nobody avoiding anybody, if I'm honest. I think players, and I'll take it here real quick and I'm going to be done. Players are cognizant of their opponents. So I do think the Phoenix Suns at the 2 seed are sitting here looking like, man, I kind of hope that the Lakers lose to the Warriors, so at least we get to play the Warriors. But they're not scared of them.
Yes.
Like, you're cognizant of it because you know, like any other individual, your chances are enhanced depending upon who you play. But you still think you're going to win. At least you fake it till you make it, believing you're going to win. So that's where I'm at, Seth.
Yeah, I'm with you dead on, man. Oh, God, I'm glad Chris Paul kind of gave us a little framework for this. Because in the West, everywhere you go, there you are. But everywhere you go, there they are as well. Like, you ain't going to avoid any of the smoke. All the smoke. We're going to get to that soon. Here's the thing. Think this through, people. Y'all projecting. Y'all jocking the Lakers so damn tough. I call this prom king and queen syndrome. Now, I'm going to flip it on you. This is what everyone is seeing. Because everyone loves the Lakers, and the Lakers is the biggest franchise in the NBA. The Lakers have absorbed that and internalized it. They cocky like that. Everybody's scared of us. Everybody wants me, just like the prom king and queen. So you can just be looking at him like, oh, he cool. What you looking at? It's like, well, hold on, dog. I thought your shirt was cool, but now I don't give a damn. And guess what? Windhorse and others are projecting because they jock the Lakers. They think the Lakers are all this. Think this through, people. This make no sense. The Clippers losing doesn't guarantee that all the other teams are going to win. So how does your seeding even change? What are you going to say? We're going to lose. Y'all going to win. Like, you can't even do that. All right. 1. 2, are the other teams thinking the same thing? We don't want to play the Lakers as well? That makes no sense. 3, ain't no difference between the 3 and the 4 seed if you are an NBA player. They already know that. Look, if you get top 4 seed, you got a home court advantage for 1 round at least. When is 3 going to play for? Like, it make no sense. Boy, y'all jocking the Lakers so much, so tough. Y'all ain't even thinking straight. Coming up, Gilbert Arenas and Kwame Brown were teammates in 04. But after things Kwame said on the internet, I'm sure they ain't friends no more. That rhyme, that's next. It's going down.
It's the moment we all been waiting for.
Ding, 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 ding.
The collective internet learned something yesterday. You better not come out here disrespecting that man Kwame Brown's name. See, Kwame was the target of wrath from hosts from the All of the Smoke podcast. That's Stack 5 Steven Jackson, your boy Matt Barnes, and their guest Gilbert Arenas. Here's a little sample from Kwame. Take a listen.
Their entire life to get to a point to where most men only dream about. I think you guys need to focus and channel that energy on some more real problems. So y'all miss me with all that. Whichever one of you paying you to come at me, this here one, you better go find you something better to do.
Now, look, for y'all that don't know, remember Kwame Brown was the #1 overall pick back in 2001, and everybody has proclaimed, not us, them, that he was a bust. Kwame Brown has clapped back. Sel didn't like the clap back.
Hell yeah, one of my favorite clapbacks ever. Like, no Vaseline Ice Cube, Ether, Pac hit him up. Kwame Brown on the internet right now. And look, Stack and Matt, I love them dudes. We got different political and life approaches, but I love those dudes. but they need a third member on All the Smoke because it sounds like they don't want all the smoke, but Kwame Brown wants all the smoke. Just be careful, y'all, who y'all shooting at. I love sitting up here at this desk, Acho, talking about player X, player Y, but I always respect that player X and player Y can shoot back at you know who, me. So it's just good to see the tables turn and see he wants all the smoke.
I loved it.
I loved it. I can't lie.
And to your point, Matt Barnes, friend of mine, we used to work together. Stack, he's hit me up privately. We've had private conversations. Good people.
Good people.
But Kwame Brown read them they receipts and they were CVS log. He didn't say nothing wrong. Now, Kwame Brown came out here and said, yeah, me and Kobe combined for 82 points and I only had one. He said, but y'all want to see Kobe score. Did y'all see the screens I was setting? He right. He said, are you not entertained? I was entertained watching Kobe drop 81. He was right. Kwame also said, Stack, you stand up here and say Black Lives Matter, but you clown me, a black man, like my life don't matter. Oh! Kwame said, look, Matt Barnes, you gonna talk about my basketball career, but I can talk about your life. Kwame ain't tell one lie, Sal. Kwame did not tell one single lie. The beauty of having a mic is this. You can say what you want, but you best remember people have the authority and the autonomy to talk back.
Thank you, man. And then look, here's the thing. 8 years retired. They've been talking about Kwame Brown for longer than that, but he's been retired for 8 years. And everybody been clowning this dude. And they said, then all of a sudden he finally shoots back, and boy, did he have a gun. He shot the out of everybody. And then all I hear now is, oh, we were just talking ball. Nah. You know what ball is to an athlete? Life. And when you talk about what I'm so heavily invested in, you ain't just talking about the game, you talking about me and saying my name. So, dude, flagrant twos, flagrant threes, off and on the court, he went after everybody. And it's something good about that reset. Sometimes we need to be humble sitting up here with our air-conditioned studios and these nice suits and sitting there talking about people like they ain't living and got a heartbeat. Good for you, Kwame Brown, coming back.
Here's the thing. Y'all remember this quote? I remember it from a movie. Somebody said it wasn't personal. It was business. And the reply was, well, it was personal to me. Y'all better understand. Y'all out here just talking that talk. Kwame Brown took all of it personally. But I will caution each and every one of you, analysts, sports opinionists, men and women alike. Kwame done told y'all, I have nothing to lose. And you should fear no one more in life than the individual who has nothing to lose. So just make sure before you speak on another grown man, before you speak on another grown woman, be cognizant of if they have anything to lose. Because if they do not, they are coming back with that heat. And Kwame Brown is coming back with not bits of the smoke, not pieces of the smoke, the entirety of the smoke.
Yeah, all the smoke. Like, y'all, I swear y'all better have him on. Or at least add him as a third member. If not, I'm going to rename y'all podcast All the Secondhand Contact or something like that. Because it ain't all the smoke. It ain't pure. Kwame Brown, first of all, Kwame, wherever you are, big dog, get a podcast. You got a subscriber in me. Just because of the hilarity. I have not felt this feeling like we've been in this is locker room right here.
Yeah. But here's the beautiful part, Sal. This is that tense moment in the locker room where you don't know if they're about to throw hands.
Yes.
This is like they hit a jab, other person hit a jab, and this is the part where like you all start to peep up on your locker because if they start to fight, you let somebody throw one quick jab and then you come carry. You got to get back on, dog.
Oh, I love all this. The irony and the role reversal. Matt and Stacks apologizing? Where's the smoke? I love it. Fox Bet Live is next.